Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds, where myself, Matt, and my two co-hosts, Mark and Tyler, provide a completely unprofessional and 100% biased on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. And today, we're changing it up a bit. We're not doing a movie review. We're not doing a director series. We're talking about the things that we read, watched, and played during the month of July, year of our Lord, COVID 2020. Tyler, what is one thing that you watched out of the 48 movies?
Yeah, so I
this
watched
month?
a lot of movies this month. I was scrolling through my letterbox on my phone. It took like 3 long scrolls to get through. So my first one I'm going to recommend, I'm just going to recommend 5 movies. I didn't read any good books this month
Yeah,
to recommend.
he's in a very short supply of books.
Yeah, just ignore all that. So the first movie I want to recommend this month is kind of a weird one because it's Heartache by Paul Thomas Anderson, which is a weird kind of thing to recommend because Paul Thomas Anderson is one of the most notorious directors working today. Everyone knows him, but this is kind of a criminally underseen and underrated Paul Thomas Anderson movie. It's streaming on Amazon Prime, at least it was earlier in the month. I don't know what happened if Amazon got rid of it for August, but it is the early shades of what Paul Thomas Anderson would be known for. There's a lot of kind of deliberate actions and a lot of deliberate camera movements that kind of show before he mastered his craft a little bit and kind of the touches to come and what he'd be really known for. And also has really wonderful performances by people I wrote down. Philip Baker Hall, John C. Reilly, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Samuel L. Jackson are all phenomenal in the movie. If you're looking for what Paul Thomas Anderson would become, watch Heartache. It's a really, really good movie. And it's just one of his shorter ones, too. It's only about an hour and 40 minutes. Matt.
That's what?
Sorry. Or were you gonna make?
I was gonna say that's one of the ones I wanted to watch now that I actually like Paul Thomas Anderson movies again.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch that at some point, and you
Mark,
recommended it. So
didn't you watch Heartache?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Do you recommend, do you think it's a good movie to get into for Paul Thomas Anderson? Because I would say yes.
I wouldn't say, if you want to get into Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography, I would not watch it first, in my opinion, because it's more interesting to see, you go to one of his best movies, like Boogie Nights or, There Will Be Blood, and it's like, this is incredible. And then you sort of after you see that and you want to see more, I think it's good to, after having seen one of his amazing movies, to tone it back a little bit and see Heartache. And you can see in Heartache, it's not a particularly amazing film, at least in my opinion, but you can see that there's so much potential there.
Mm-hmm.
And you appreciate it more, I think, if you know where Paul Thomas Anderson is going to go from there on out. But I definitely recommend seeing it because it's a phenomenal movie. I just think comparing it to his other movies, it's not as good.
All right, that makes sense. Matt, what is the first thing that you recommend that we saw in July?
I think technically I saw this in June, but
already failing,
and I wanted to talk about it. The Blackcoat's Daughter. It's on Netflix, and as someone who likes, I was never really a big horror movie fan, but I think I like horror movies now because they're typically the shortest genre of movies, usually only like an hour and a half. And I've seen a lot of bad ones on Netflix, but The Blackcoat's Daughter sticks out as one of the better ones. I like movies. I really love movies like The Witch, and but it didn't necessarily scare me. Like, there were definitely tense moments, but I think I appreciated more for like the acting, production design, directing, and all of that. But this movie, although not as good as The Witch, legitimately freaked me out. After I saw the movie, I was walking around. I think I told this story to you guys, but after I saw the movie, I was walking around my kitchen and I accidentally knocked down a wrapper and it hit the ground and I jumped. So I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about plot points in this movie at all, but it's relatively simplistic, but just really, really disturbing. I can't really pinpoint why it had such a big, profound effect on me, but it legitimately freaked me out. And I think that if you like horror movies, even if you like crappy ones like It, you probably will appreciate this one.
Throwing shade. Wow. Does it compare to something like The Witch? Would you put it in that same kind of tier?
It's not as so I love The Witch. I don't think it has like the message that The Witch has, or like as good of acting or as good of directing. But I don't know, just something about this movie that really freaked me out while I was watching it. And I would just say from a film standpoint, it's not as good, but I was so on edge while watching it. And I think it's almost on the level of a witch, but also more scary. If that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't seen that one
It's
yet.
on Netflix. It's only an hour and a half. It's really good.
Who directed it?
The guy who directed that Gretel and Hansel movie that just came out.
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, we'll have to check out. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe that'll be one of your recommendations, Matt. Maybe we can do that one day.
Mm.
Mark, what is your first recommendation of the month?
Stanley Kubrick's The Killing. So I have the Criterion disc here. This came out in 1956, and it's basically the first, film from Stanley Kubrick that put him on the map. And it's like this neo-noir heist movie involving a horse race. And the lead actor plays the crazy general in Doctor Strangelove. His name escapes me. He's like, there's.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but.
It's like fluorine in the water or whatever.
Yeah, the commie water.
Yeah, commie water. So he plays the lead robber, and it's very good. And there's some incredible shots and sequences in the film. And
I think I heard this movie was compared to Reservoir Dogs. Is that accurate, or?
I thought it was.
I think. Well, that makes
Reservoir
sense.
Dogs.
Because it's sort of like an ensemble of robbers who don't really know each other, but they're there to. It's like, well, let's pull this job off and never see each other.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic heist film, and if you're really into Kubrick, I highly recommend watching it. I wouldn't say start with it. I would say, no one really starts with Stanley Kubrick, with The Killing, because everyone sees like The Shining in 2001. But if you're a Kubrick fan, it's definitely worth checking out.
I just want to throw this out there real quick. I don't think it's neo-noir. I want to call you out for your misgenre.
You seen it, Tyler?
I have not, but neo-noir is a type of genre that pays homage and inspiration to film noir movies, which were popular in like the 50s and 40s, 50s, 60s, which this movie came out. So this movie is just film noir. Neo-noir.
That's what I meant.
Whoa.
Yeah, look at me. I did.
Shots.
Oh my god.
I'm rusty on my film terms, I guess.
Boom!
Yeah.
Come, Mark.
You're rusty on life, I guess.
Yeah. The only reason I did that is because they looked it up and I went, I don't know what that means. So
yeah.
That's.
I thought neo-noir
so you didn't know
had
off
to do
the
with
top
like
of your head.
neon.
What? Oh, like
like
the
Drive
color?
or something. 'Cause
Oh.
It's kind of noir. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I meant noir.
I didn't look it up
neo-noir.
just now. I looked it up like a few days ago because I was like, what does that mean?
Right. A likely
A
story.
few days or a few seconds.
Shut up. My second recommendation is a 2012 movie called Frances Ha. I don't often rewatch movies close together, but this is one of the few movies I've ever rewatched twice in a month. I really, really loved it the first time, and the second time I thought it was just kind of a masterclass of directing and kind of acting and style. I was curious about like the relationship between Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig. And after learning basically about them, this movie feels like it's kind of like Noah Baumbach falling in love with Greta Gerwig. There's this one wonderful scene where she's dancing down the street and running, and it kind of just feels like you kind of feel it through the camera that he's just falling in love with her, and you kind of feel that as a viewer. I highly recommend this movie for anyone kind of in our age group of the post-college kind of malaise. It's kind of akin to something like The Graduate. And that's kind of similar themes where it's that unsurety about life and lacking a purpose. So over a time, once I get older, it might have less of an impact right now, but this is that perfect movie I found at the right time that captures kind of what my age.
Tyler likes to, just curl up by the fire with a blanket and a giant tub of ice cream.
I know.
Watch a double feature of Frances Ha and About Time.
About Time, yes, and cry myself a little bit, yes.
It seems like with you, Tyler, based on what you've told me, is that Noah Baumbach is really hit or miss with you.
Yeah, we were just talking beforehand. I only got through half of Kicking and Screaming.
Only half.
I kind of hated that movie. It feels like it's a gross misrepresentation of what people in college are like. It's this very much like the writer Andre Asuman, who wrote stuff like Call Me by Your Name and the one other book I just finished, Enigma Variations, where it's like these young characters who are constantly discussing philosophy and kind of these Greek mythology and kind of these like grand ideas that most college people don't discuss. And this movie, that Kicking and Screaming, wasn't written 55 years ago. It was made in 1995, and I don't think 22-year-olds have changed that much where they're constantly discussing these kind of ideas. And also the characters are just really pretentious, and it's really poorly directed. And it kind of feel like it just missed the mark. Yeah. So that's Francis Ha. Yeah, no Bombax hit or miss. Matt, because you're already getting bored, what's your next recommendation?
Is that obvious? No, I'm
Yes.
kidding. I was watching reviews, and my eyes are constantly just not paying attention to the screen. I gotta change that. I'm gonna talk about a movie I like called The Host, which I rewatched a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
From Bong Joon-ho, who just did Parasite. And yeah, he's one of my favorite directors. I've now seen every single one of his feature-length movies, and I think The Host is one of the better ones. He has a movie called The Host and a movie called Parasite.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Have that little information for you. It's much akin to the original Godzilla, whereas the U.S. version of Godzilla is just, oh, he's awesome, he destroys buildings. The original Godzilla, I mean, some of the Japanese movies have the same, stupid stuff as well, but the original Godzilla was Japan's fear of being bombed again, and like their fear of nuclear energy, nuclear missiles, and what comes from that. And I think The Host has very similar themes, where it's Bong Joon-ho's fear of what our neglect of the environment will lead to, and then that neglect is personified in the monster that starts ravaging this city in South Korea. And some of the CGI is kind of bad now. It's all right. It's not particularly great, but it's not horribly distracting like that Godzilla from the guy that's not Steven Spielberg. The guy did Independence Day.
Oh, Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, like Roland.
Oh,
it's never that bad.
Well,
but,
that movie came out 10 years prior to The Host, but yeah, the Godzilla CGI is really bad.
But the characters are really good, and the directing is really good for the fight scenes. And I think that if you like monster movies and you like Bong Joon-ho, you will like The Host.
Mark, have you seen The Host?
I have. The Host is actually the first movie I ever saw from Bong Joon-ho.
I think it's mine too.
The Host is one of those movies, for me, it's you see something disturbing and you're like this is messed up, but you can't stop watching. That's how I felt with The Host, especially the scene where the monster attacks the park and it goes into the trailer and starts eating people. Yep. I was like, this is horrifying.
And I was I think sticking out of the
of the door. They're trying to get out of the door, and then that guy throws the tile at him, and then the creature grabs him.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember the actor's name, but he's in Parasite, and he distracts the monster, and the monster turns around and he's eating the dude.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so fucked up.
Yeah.
And I could not stop watching that scene. I really like The Host. That's a fantastic movie.
I definitely rank it as one of his better ones. I actually think Parasite's my favorite Bong Joon-ho movie now. After rewatching it, but The Host is definitely one of the top ones for me as well.
Yeah, it's only that's a movie I watched. I've only seen it once, but over time it's only aged better in memory. I definitely have to rewatch it. Came out in 2006.
Six.
Oh, okay, yeah. So only 8 years after the Emmerich one, but yeah, that's one that is definitely kind of aged over memory, and I want to watch again. It's on Hulu, so that's you can watch that. A lot of those other movies on Hulu, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how I finished watching all those movies.
Is Memories of Murder on Hulu?
I know it's on Amazon Prime. That's how I watched it.
It's not on Hulu, I don't think.
Okay, I need to see that. I'm actually
that one's up
dying
there
to
for
see
me
that.
as well. If you like, you would like that movie.
That's coming to Criterion too.
Is it?
They announced it. Yeah.
that's like I gotta start buying.
I know. I'm buying that day one.
Yeah. Mark, what's your next recommendation? What's number 2 for you?
Broadcast News.
Oh my God.
I talked about it in the most recent video. 1987. It stars William Hurt, Albert Brooks, and Holly Hunter. You might know Holly Hunter as Elastigirl, and William Hurt is the general the Secretary of State in Civil War, Captain America. I mean, it's a
what a loser.
This is called Film Frauds, not Roller Coaster Frauds.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Martin Scorsese. I'm sorry, I failed you. This is a fantastic movie about journalistic integrity, and it just has this great ensemble of characters, and you care for every single person in this film. I mean, it's a love triangle like no other. And I think this is probably in my top 10 films ever.
Really?
Wow.
I'm not
I
even
gotta watch
joking.
that then.
This is like the
So this is not my exaggerated top 10 list.
It depends on the day. Okay, right now it's in my top 10. It's in my top 10 today. Tomorrow I don't know.
We're gonna end the
this is-
recording. He's gonna turn around. He's gonna like it.
This
Yeah.
this is like not like a wholly happy film, but like this for me is a comfort film. Like this movie and like Fantastic Mr. Fox or like Grand Budapest Hotel, like I can throw on at any time and I can just like sit back and enjoy for like 2 hours. Like I just love this thing so much, and I've seen it I think 3 times now. And if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's very good.
How's the Criterion release of it? What's the supplemental material?
There's an alternate ending
Ooh.
that they show, which is really interesting. And there's a bunch of interviews, and I think there's 2 documentaries. And the director, James L. Brooks, I didn't know really much about him, but like watching interviews on him and like his making of the film was so fascinating, and I got to see more films from him now. Because it was a kind of movie that they like the script was being written as they were shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And like when they first started filming, the director did not know how it ended. And he sort of, as he was like shooting the film and watching the characters interact, he was like, oh, this is where the story's going.
Okay.
So it was kind of like Kubrick with 2001: A Space Odyssey, because there was like, when they started shooting 2001: A Space Odyssey, there was like no script. Kubrick is like, let's just shoot this thing.
Wasn't the book being written in tandem with the screenplay? Like, wasn't Kubrick and the writer of the 2001: Space Odyssey book writing them at the same time?
Oh no! Oh, we started.
So I read this book.
What is it called? Kind of just in case.
Space Odyssey. It's Stanley Kubrick, Arthur C. Clarke, and the Making of a Masterpiece. It's like 500 pages. I read it this spring, and it's all about the making of the film. And Arthur, after Kubrick had released Dr. Strangelove and it was making a lot of buzz, Kubrick called Arthur C. Clarke and he said, "You're one of the best science fiction writers today, and there's been no good science fiction films ever released, so let's make something." And so I think and this is in 1964, and in 1948, Arthur C. Clarke had written a short story called The Sentinel, and it's all about this mysterious object that's found on the moon. Ooh. And so they took that story and they just expanded it. And so Arthur C. Clarke was writing the book, and he started giving like excerpts of it to Kubrick, and then he'd go shoot it basically.
He'd shoot the actual like with a gun?
Well, 2001. Oh wait, hold on one second. I can't hear you guys.
Thank you, Matt.
It's better off that you couldn't hear.
Yeah. Wait, can you hear? Yes, we can hear you, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
My headphones got messed.
Oh.
Did you hear me speak?
Yes, we heard you speak the entire time.
Okay.
I wish we hadn't, but you know.
Okay.
We can't hear Tyler's joke. You're lucky.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll listen to it in the video.
Shoot with a gun.
Damn it. That sounds interesting.
Also, good book. Check it out.
Good book. All right.
Tyler.
Now on to a movie that people actually want to watch. I watched 2019's Paddleton. Paddleton. Mark, we're not gonna spoil it. Don't worry. Paddleton is great. Paddleton's streaming on Netflix. No one has talked about it. No one has seen it. I was bored and I was looking.
Well, someone's talked about it.
Well, Red Letter Media talked about it.
And me.
And Matt. For like a year, and he's like, it was. But in terms of like reviews on YouTube, Red Letter Media is the only really popular one. If you do like one scroll down, it's no one really talks about this movie. It's criminally underseen. Stars Ray Romano and Mark Duplass. It's also directed by Mark Duplass. And it's basically a story about a guy who's diagnosed with terminal cancer and he wants to go get suicide medicine. And that's basically it. That's what the movie's about. There was no script with dialogue. They basically just went and kind of, ad-libbed. Yeah, ad-libbed all their dialogue. They went, here's kind of the points. Make up your own dialogue. And knowing that, it adds a lot of kind of like touching character moments to it. Things just kind of feel more sincere and more genuine. And it also has one of the most gut-wrenching endings I've ever seen in a movie. It made me cry. It's really hard to watch, but it feels really realistic. And kind of, it's very just there. And it's one of those things, it's an hour and a half, not even, hour and 29. It's a quick watch. It's amazing. It's on Netflix. Go watch Paddleton. Okay. Matt, do you concur?
Yeah, I concur. I love this movie. I was looking at my 2019 list, and that's number like 3 or 4
Yeah, it's up there
on
for
my
me in
2019 list.
2019.
I was like, wow, I forgot it was that high. No, I gotta rewatch it because I think it's been about a year since I've seen it, and it's pretty short. And I remember, obviously, I had it so high on my list. I really, really liked it, and I kind of wanted to rewatch it again. I think the Duplass Brothers, another movie called Cyrus, which I really like. And as Jonah Hill and John C. Reilly, and that's another really good one. I think it's not like as heart wrenching. It's like it's more like a awkward comedy. But I think if you like the Duplass Brothers, and you check out Cyrus.
Yeah. You should also check out Creep.
Yeah, Creep's really great too. Creep is a really great horror movie.
How about Creep 3?
Creep 2 is good. Creep 3 is in the works.
Is it in the works? Okay.
They don't have a script. They said like we're trying to make it, but we don't know what to do.
Then maybe don't make the movie.
Speaking
I
of
trust
things
the Duplass Brothers.
Speaking of things that shouldn't be made, again, I'm recommending Cowboy Bebop, the original series.
Yeah.
I think I talked about this in the last episode, so I'll make this quick. But as someone who hates anime for the most part, I think this show is really amazing. I rewatched it on Hulu over last month, and if you watch the trailers and you think it looks interesting, I think you probably will end up liking it. It's about like a future where there's these bounty hunters, and they're always hungry. They're always looking for food. It's kind of a comedy, but also can be serious when it needs to be. And it has like this weird, interesting tone because the music's by a woman named Yoko Kanno, who does a lot of jazz music. So like it's very futuristic. It's kind of like a Blade Runner-esque setting, and it kind of has its own unique vibe though with the jazz music that's incorporated in the series. And each episode kind of has its own vibe to it due to like different variations of jazz music. And I think if you like sci-fi movies and TV shows, action TV shows, and you just see this looks interesting, I think you'll end up liking it because the music's really great. The characters are funny, really well realized, and it can be really serious when it wants to be. So yeah, I'd recommend that if you're interested in it.
Where can you stream it? Is it on Hulu?
Hulu.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's 24 episodes, so it's not long. Tyler could probably watch in like a day.
No,
he likes his 30.
God damn it! Wait, how long are they? How long are the episodes?
Like 22 minutes.
I could finish that in a day.
It also has like the best intro and best outro like themes of like anything ever.
Okay.
Like everyone's heard the intro song to Cowboy Bebop, and then like the outro song is really good too. Yeah, it's just a really well-rounded show, and like each episode has its own like unique vibe to it, and I think it's good.
It works. Mark,
so you're a weeb now.
Yeah, you're a weeb.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna watch JoJo's Bizarre Rabbit next.
I actually watched more anime stuff this month than Matt did. I watched Akira and Wolf Children.
Yeah, well, no one cares. No one even asks.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Mark, what's your number 3, 4? What are we on? 3?
3. The Autobiography of Malcolm X.
Oh, a book in the mix. Whoa.
A book.
Oh my
God. I mentioned this before in a previous video. I didn't really know much about Malcolm X except that he was like the opposite voice to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the civil rights movement. And my coworker actually gave me this book. He just said like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I read this, and I read it in about like 4 or 5 days, and it's absolutely gripping. Seeing Malcolm X was like he grew up in like sort of a broken family, and like he lived in New York, and he was like a drug dealer and like getting into all sorts of trouble. Then he got sent to prison, and then like he spent his entire time in prison reading in the library, and like that's when he was introduced to the Muslim faith, and then he comes out of prison, and he becomes the Malcolm X that many people know him to be. And his transformation as a person is absolutely incredible. His resolve is so admirable, and I think this is a book that everybody should read at least once in their life. So
I've seen like interviews with him, and it's crazy. Like he's on talk shows and stuff, and people are like, because no one knew what his real name was, because Malcolm X, I guess, was when he changed his name when he adopted the Muslim faith. And it's interesting. They're like how like they try to pry like his real name out of him because no one has Malcolm X. So it seems like he's such like a well-spoken guy when you watch interviews and speeches of him. So I'm curious to read the book someday because I feel like he's probably even more articulate in his writing.
Yeah, and his ideas are very prominent in the movie Do the Right Thing. Mark, you mentioned that you want to rewatch Do the Right Thing now after reading his biography, because of how you could now interpret the ending of the movie, which you won't spoil.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it.
Because you haven't seen it. And also, everyone should watch this movie and go in as blind as they can. Even though
Yeah,
it's
Do
probably
the
one of
Right Thing. One of the best endings ever.
Yeah, it's also probably one of the best American movies ever made, I feel like. But I'm very curious to actually learn more about that guy and kind of stuff like that, because I don't know much about it. For me, my number 4 recommendation, I was going between two. I'm going to go with 2011's The Guard by John Michael McDonough. We talked about John Michael McDonough in Matt's Cavalry recommendation video, and we briefly touched on it. It's Cavalry is a better movie, but this one is very much more tailored to my kind of taste, that biting, sarcastic humor touched with a nihilistic main character. It's simple, it's short, and it's just really funny. It's kind of one of those movies that you're kind of just chuckling. You might not be outwardly laughing, but you're like mirthed a little bit throughout the entire movie. And that's a big word for you guys. Look at that.
Big word.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear it.
I said mirthed.
Oh wow.
I know.
All right, give us a dictionary definition now.
On the last podcast, I said calorie is very nebulous.
Yeah.
And then Tyler like stat tabulated. He's like, "What's the word used to describe cavalry against an N?" And he goes, "Oh wait, it was nebulous. I remember." And then
and Matt applauded me, and I was like, "Thanks, Matt." No, The Guard. It's Brendan Gleeson, Don Cheadle. It's a wonderful movie. It's simple. It's funny. I feel like you get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And then you should branch into that and then check out Cavalry. And then you should burn any copy of War on Everyone by John Michael McDonough.
He has a new movie coming out too soon, so I'm excited. What's in production?
I was looking at it, and it has like a really solid cast, which I can look up during this. Well, Matt, you talk about your number 4.
4, yeah. So my number 4 is
Mark. You sound so bored.
My number 4 is like Mark. It's a book. It's The Beautiful and the Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald.
What?
And, it's a fiction book, but I think it's supposed to it gets a lot of inspiration from his real life marriage to Zelda Fitzgerald, and Great Gatsby. It sort of deconstructs like the high society in the U.S. and like the East Coast of the U.S. And the main characters are not very likable, but at the same time, he gives them enough depth so that you kind of want to see them succeed at the same time. But also, there's like a very like sarcastic tone to it. Like the main character doesn't want to do anything, and he's like counting on his grandfather to die because his dad's already dead. He's counting on his grandfather to die to inherit all of his riches because his grandfather worked himself to build like this huge like business for himself. And
Matt laughs about death for 15 minutes.
And then like his wife doesn't want to do anything either, and like they get married, and it's just everything goes chaotic, and it's very rich in prose. Like F. Scott Fitzgerald's one of the greatest writers of all time, in my opinion, and I'm starting to get more into his books too. I read Great Gatsby a long time ago, and I'm reading like a book by him called On Booze right now, which is about him sharing his drinking stories, and it's pretty funny.
Okay.
And this one I think is really good. I think if you like Great Gatsby, you probably like this book. But it's very, like I said, it's very rich in prose. So you need to be, at least for me, I needed to be like in the mood to read it. Like I couldn't have any other distractions. Like if I was ever distracted, like no, I can't read this right now because there's so much depth to it. And I think that you guys probably would like it as well.
I have a recommendation for you, Matt. It's both a book and a movie. And I watched the movie about a month ago. It's The Age of Innocence. Directed by Martin Scorsese, and it's adapted from the Edith Wharton novel of the same name. And that book is all about high society New York in the late 19th century, early 20th century.
So they ripped off F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah,
you're saying.
No, you got to watch it. And
I'll watch it.
The movie stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Daniel Day-Lewis and what's her name? What's her name? She's in Stranger Things. She's the mom.
Winona
Ryder, yeah.
Winona Ryder. Yes, Winona Ryder is in it with Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer. And it's all about high society New York. And I've watched the film, and I have the book in my Amazon shopping cart. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to buy it. So I think you'd like that, Matt.
Even though that high society New York and in Boston is kind of portrayed pretty poorly in this book, at least it's not as bad as Woody Harrelson's High Society, New York.
I don't get that reference.
I don't get that reference. Is that a True Detective reference or something?
Wait, I meant Woody Allen. Crap.
Oh my god, Woody Allen. I was like, what?
Woody Allen, yeah.
I wonder if
Okay.
you can like freeze and just look at Mark and I's reaction when you made that reference.
My
We're
brain
just-
stopped working.
Yeah, I was like,
I should know this. I should know this.
I was like, is that a thing in like his new Carnage movie or something? What does that mean?
Oh yeah.
Mark, what's your number?
Another note.
Another note. What's your number 4 or 5? I don't know what we're on.
I think 4.
Okay.
It's a book I haven't finished yet, but Antkind, Charlie Kaufman.
Okay.
I'm
$30, by the way, at Barnes and Noble. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, I got it for 20 on Amazon, so
Well,
beat that.
Well, you're appealing to a corporate overlord.
Don't remind me, okay? I feel very guilty about it.
Yeah, I can tell.
So it's 700 pages, and I'm only 150 through it right now. But so far it's awesome.
That's a 5th.
Yeah, it's fantastic so far. And if you like Charlie Kaufman screenplays, movies, whatever, you will definitely enjoy this because it's so witty and just chock full of humor and commentary, and it's just the prose is fantastic. I love it. I'm very excited to finish it. So you guys will definitely enjoy it.
Good to know. All right, my 5th and final recommendation is a movie I got done watching last night. It's 2018's Burning by Lee Chang-dong, I think is that how you say it? Or Chang-dong Lee.
You
or
just
something.
butchered it.
I probably butchered it horribly. I can't stop thinking about this movie. It's really kind of perplexing, thought-provoking, and beautiful. It's one of the best-looking movies I've ever seen. It has some of the best subtle acting I've ever seen. There's never really a scene in the movie where characters kind of have that Oscar moment, I like to call it, where they do the outburst, but it's really just kind of subtle expressions on faces. In terms of, because there's a lot to talk about this movie, and I still haven't processed all of it or fully kind of comprehend what it is. I love this movie, though. From what I'm able to gather on a first watch, and I want to watch it a few more times, it is a kind of like a biting social commentary about classism, about masculinity, about kind of self-identity. It's this whole wonderful thing where every piece of its dialogue, characters' actions, production design can be taken as some kind of representation or kind of analyzation for these types of themes it's going for. I think in terms of kind of a social commentary on classism, I think it's better than Parasite, which is very bold. But I think it does it better than Parasite, having seen both. I love this movie. I got to watch it a few more times, but it might be my favorite movie of 2018. I think I liked it a lot more than The Favorite, which is my favorite movie of 2018. It's on Netflix. Matt, do you think this is it? You've seen it, Matt.
Yeah.
I don't think this is also a good introduction to South Korean cinema.
I want to talk about this movie really quickly.
Yeah.
Because I have a kind of interesting perspective because I love South Korean movies, and that's why I wanted to watch, because I heard it got good reviews. But it's funny because I have a friend who saw it and he hated it. Like, he has such
Really?
like a volatile, like, and he loves South Korean movies too. Like he's like, before you start getting into movies, before you got into South Korean movies, he was the one I always talk to about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, like, because he likes Haruki Murakami as well.
That's also the thing. I should also preface that he's probably my favorite author, despite me having issues with a lot of his books. I've read the majority of his stuff. I own a lot of his stuff. And it's based on a short story called Barn Burning by him, which I have read and I own it, and it's in the book Elephant Vanishes. And it very much, the movie kind of comes across as a Haruki Murakami story. If you read any of his stuff, he loves kind of wells, and he loves cats, and he loves kind of like bland and uninteresting protagonists. So they're kind of a blank canvas, so they can be kind of impacted and molded by the world around them. That's what I loved about this movie. It was just kind of, it felt like a literary movie. It just felt like a book had come to life. I loved it.
He was like hated it, so I watched it, and I like the movie a lot. I think it's like a solid B right now from my
Yep.
standpoint. And then you seem to really love it. Like you probably think it's like an A.
Yes.
So it's cool like how we have like three people with kind of like three ranging opinions on this one
Yeah.
movie. I want to rewatch it really badly, but the movie I saw it over a year ago and it still sticks with me. Like I specifically the scene where the girlfriend's dancing and like where like
Yes.
in the sun setting and like the jazz music's playing.
Yep,
And
beautiful.
like that scene really stuck with me. And what else was I gonna say? I so from how I interpret it, I think it has more to do with like human psyche more than classism from what I remember. And so like I don't think it's as good of a critique of classism as Parasite is, but I from what I got of it, it had more to do with like masculinity and how like human perception works. And so that's what I really liked about it. And I want to rewatch it. I kind of want to do a podcast on it as well because it's so dense and there's so much going on. And it's even though it's not one of my favorite South Korean movies, like the thing about most of the movies I've seen from that area, like they're all have really rich themes, and it's definitely one of the more memorable ones, I would say.
Yeah, there's I don't want to because I'm gonna recommend this movie, but we should also preface that it's 2.5 hours long and it's slow. It's admittedly slow, and it's very
it's deliberately slow.
Do you remember what your friend didn't like about the movie?
He was just I think he was just frustrated. I don't know. I could go through the text again, but
we'll save it because I'm gonna recommend that probably next for.
Yeah, but like she likes Murakami and she likes South Korean movies, and I think it's more with the plot. I think was her big issue.
And that's the thing is it's very much read, and the movie came across very much like a Murakami plot where things kind of meander. There's a scene in this movie where it's like 6 minutes of characters just kind of staring out into the sky and just like little intersperses of dialogue that don't really seem to go anywhere. But that's a Murakami book.
Is this directly based off of like one individual thing, or is it just heavily inspired by his themes?
It's inspired or based off of his short story Barn Burning. From what I remember, I read it about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think it's taken as beat by beat, but it is heavily kind of taken from his short
story. Does Murakami write in English, or is his prose translated?
It's translated. He has like, it's such a like. I don't like his book Killing Commensador. I read 1284, and it's a book I'm never going to read again. But I kind of enjoyed, but not really. This movie just. I'll say one more quick thing about it because I want to save it for the discussion. Out of all the South Korean movies I've watched, there have been 2 that have really stuck with me. I saw The Devil and Burning more than anything. I take that as you may, but I really recommend Burning a lot. I'd say go watch it.
We gotta do a podcast on it someday.
We gotta do a podcast. It's so interesting.
This sounds right up my alley. I'm actually really excited to watch.
You'd be really intrigued by the movie. We absolutely have. Well, I'm just gonna recommend it next. I'm spoiling it right now. I'm gonna recommend Burning again.
All right, cool.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Matt, your final one?
Oh yeah. I'm recommending a video game.
Oh my god.
It is The Last of Us Part 2.
What?
Yeah. As someone who's now played the full game, I think a lot of the controversies are completely overblown and unnecessary. I think that there are valid criticisms with the game, especially in the story, especially in how, spoiler, I guess, I think everyone knows this by now, but Joel dies in the beginning, and he's marketed as being, like, in a scene later on. But I think that the reaction to him dying, based on, like, the script leak, was completely, like, overblown and unnecessary. This game, from a gameplay standpoint, is phenomenal. It's funny because Last of Us 1, I think, had bad gameplay, but everyone just cared about the story, and, like, the story was good. And so, like, everyone gave 10 10s, even though it didn't really deserve it. And then the gameplay in Last of Us 2 was a huge improvement. Like, it's probably the best stealth game I've ever played. And it is, but everyone just cares about the story. And the story isn't bad. It has a lot of narrative problems, but I think that, at least for me, I found the gameplay to be so much fun that it didn't really bother. It was slow. It was way too long, way longer than it had to be. But I'd say it's a solid 8 out of 10 game. I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima right now, and it has stealth sections in it, but it's so I really like the game. The game's really good, but the stealth is so underwhelming compared to Last of Us Part 2 because, like, it just feels so gritty. You feel like you're Rambo, and, like, to watch yourself improve from, like, the first few missions, getting caught, like, killing one guy, then getting caught immediately. So then by the end, where you're, like, going through these huge missions, and, like, you're just taking guys out, like, one at a time and not getting caught, and you just feel like you're in the game. You feel like you're in, like, the survival mode, and watching yourself get better at the game as you go on and becoming more merciless in your own mindset is really fascinating. And I think that if you like games with good gameplay, and if you like stealth games, but feel like a lot of times because stealth is kind of like an iffy gameplay mechanic in every game. It's never really that great, but in this game, I think they're almost perfected stealth, and it's really, really good. I would highly recommend it. Even if you know what happens in the story, just playing the game as like a puzzle is playing the stealth segments is like a puzzle. I think you get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Wow, sounds really cool.
I gotta check that out. My brother was texting me about that. He was like, "You gotta play this. This is amazing."
Because like when you're because like in Ghost of Tsushima, like you hit, like has like you, when you kill someone in stealth, you go like this and they die. But then like and in Last of Us 2, like you grab them and you can like move them into the tall grass. You go and he's like and then like pawing at you. It just feels so realistic. And then you throw a bottle and they go, "What's that over there?" And you grab another guy. It's it's amazing. Like you just get into like the survival instinct mode, and it's so good. It's so good.
Should we be concerned about you, Matt? You're gonna start hunting people in the tall grass.
This seems very cathartic for you, Matthew.
Yeah, I just registered for the U.S. Marines, so.
Damn, at Film Frauds we have all types of commentary here. Wow. Mark, fifth and final.
All people are welcome. Even serial killers are welcome to Film Frauds.
Yes, as long as you subscribe and like our videos and tell people.
Yeah, that's all. And vote me as your favorite film fraud.
Yeah, of course. Mark, your fifth and final reaction, since this video is over 45 minutes long already.
Oh, geez, really? I watched this last night. I watched Synecdoche, New York. It's Charlie Kaufman's directorial debut.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
He wrote and directed it. I don't even think I can begin to describe this movie. It's so dense, and there's so many things going on in it that everybody who watches this film has a completely different experience because there's so many different types of like anxieties that the main character goes through, and it's just it's so hard to describe. I mean, I have my movie book here where I don't have a letterbox. I write down the movie and the day I watched it and then the grade I give it.
The time is now, old man.
Yeah, boomer. Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Get your little notebook out.
And scroll to the pages.
Yeah. Well, in this turn, I watched.
Shut up.
Does the master still have a 4 out of 5 in there?
Absolutely.
Do you have an asterisk that says slept?
I fell asleep. I put 5 question marks next to this because I don't know how I feel about it. You guys we need to discuss this movie because it's all about life slipping away from you, and it's. I mean, that's how I interpret it. And this movie is like, it's not a horror movie in name, but to me, it was horrifying.
Okay.
And I Uncut Gems came out recently. That's a very stressful movie. I would put this up there with Uncut Gems in terms of the levels of stress that this movie makes you feel. It's so hard to describe. There's so many things going on. I know I'm just sort of talking in circles right now, but it is. Whoa. I bought the Blu-ray this morning because I think I need to see it like 3 more times before I even understand what's going on.
Damn.
Like the way I feel right now, Matt, is basically how I felt after watching Persona. I was like, I don't know exactly what I just watched, but I know I watched something great.
Okay.
That's when I watched Persona, I was like, man, things happen.
I am very stupid. That's how I felt.
Wait till you watch Rashomon, and at least for me, Rashomon was like,
oh, I gotta see that.
I need to get my IQ checked because I just didn't get any of that.
I gotta watch that. Oh, and there's a Akira Kurosawa movie called Dreams that came out in like 1990. I've heard so many great things about it, and Martin Scorsese's in that movie, and he plays Vincent Van Gogh.
What?
Yeah, I'm
Is it
serious.
on Criterion?
It's on Criterion. You can buy the Criterion.
It's called Dreams.
Dreams.
Is he an actor? Does he act?
He acts in the movie. Yeah.
Does he act often, or is this like the one time Martin Scorsese's ever been in an acting role?
As far as I know, this is the 3rd time I've seen him act. He was in Taxi Driver, and he was also in. Yeah, he was the guy in the car, and he's like, my wife's up there. I'm gonna go shoot her with a magnum.
Oh.
Oh
wow.
Yeah, and then he's in Mean Streets. But I know I'm sort of sidetracking here, but Synecdoche, New York is one of the most unique films I've ever seen, and exactly what you'd expect from Charlie Kaufman. He is one of the most. I mean, people like It's funny in this book, Antkind. Charlie Kaufman throws some punches at Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. Wait, what does he say?
He's like, I'll have to find it. I sent a Snapchat to you guys of it. You guys didn't read the page.
Clearly not.
Thanks, guys. But he makes fun of Christopher Nolan in this movie, and he says like,
in the movie,
or in this book. Sorry, Charlie Kaufman racks my brain. But yeah,
we only have 5 recommendations, Mark, and you're going to 6, so we're gonna have to.
Sorry. Yeah, this movie is unreal. Please go watch it. I'll have to recommend it sometime.
I remember watching some of YMS's review.
He has 4 videos on it.
Yeah, and I actually got depressed while listening to just the reviews.
Yeah,
this is his interpretation of it. And I just shut it off. I was like, I can't take this anymore.
I think
if we watch it, we'll all have a different view of the film. I have no doubt about it.
The only part of the YMS video I watched was the first few minutes where he starts analyzing the title being kind of like flown across the screen and how it comes across the screen, and I was like, I'm out. I'm like, this is too much for me already. I have no understanding what this movie's about.
Also, Philip Seymour Hoffman is so good in this movie. Mm-hmm. It's like up there with the Master in terms of his role.
Damn.
I was absolutely blown away by this movie. I don't even know how I feel yet. I just know I was blown away.
Can you believe his last movie was Mockingjay Part 2?
Was it?
Was it Mockingjay?
It might have been.
His best performance is in Mission Impossible 3. I'm just throwing that out there.
What about Heartache, Tyler?
Hey, old man, blowing these. All right, that was the line in Heartache. You don't get it because you haven't seen the movie. It's also probably not the line because I don't remember.
They're quoting Mission Impossible 3. I was like, wow, what a loser.
Shut up. Yeah. All right, Matt. That was our 5 recommendations. Matt, what's our call to action?
Like, comment, subscribe.
A little more energy.
Subscribe.
Come on.
Comment your favorite film fraud, as long as it's me.
Or me.
And tell us if you want a Patreon or not, or OnlyFans, because we'll do it.
Well, we're actually only putting out OnlyFans.
Yeah, but next time we are doing part of my director series, starting with Park Chan-wook and Old Boy, which I've watched and Mark will watch tonight.
I've seen it.
And so be excited for that.
Yeah.
And then Mark is doing an old movie that no one cares about after that, so you can unsubscribe.
I thought we changed it. I thought we were doing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna change it. I won't subject you guys to old amazing movies that are classics and inspire so many films that come out today. But we'll just watch everything that's contemporary.
It's even funnier because like the past couple episodes I've recommended old movies, like old Italian, old Japanese movies, but. We still just like to roast you.
You guys would like this, well, whatever. I'll stick with the.
We'll save it for another time. Once people are kind of like hooked on our personalities and how cool we are, then we'll start watching the movies from 1948.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right, subscribe. And I'm your favorite film fraud because I have the best recommendations.
No,
all right, thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.
I was trying to get the last word.